One thing that WWE knows, that no matter how bad things may get, when you call on Vince McMahon, people will tune in.
No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just going to keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Break It Down with Brian H. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. This show is brought to you by The Wrestling Realm. It is the last show of the year. Thank you each and everybody for joining me. And I got a stacked show for you tonight. Vince McMahon makes an appearance on Monday Night Raw and joined by Stephanie, Shane, and Triple H with one goal in mind: to get things back on track in the WWE. So it's been no secret. Everybody has been complaining about Monday Night Raw. Quite frankly, they could have left SmackDown alone. But everybody's been complaining about Monday Night Raw. Raw is boring. Raw sucked. Raw is the same matches, the same thing each and every week. November was really bad for Raw. And dare say, I'll be the one to say it each and every week, that ever since Roman Reigns has been off the show, we've seen a decline. So, of course, all of our prayers go out to Roman because we want to see him back. Most importantly, we want to see him live and defeat leukemia. But him getting back in wrestling, that's a wish, and that would be great. Nonetheless, you have to admit, since he's been gone, it just hasn't been the same, man. And not to say it was great when he was there, don't get me wrong, but it has not been the same. And this week we saw Baron Corbin come out there and just complain. I want to, Vince, I want to come out and I want a chance. I want an opportunity. And that's going to take us right into our Tapped Out.
Here's our Tapped Out segment of the week.
So, you wonder, why is that the Tapped Out? I thought it was awkward. So, I understand Baron Corbin coming out there. But I just thought with the McMahons being out there announcing that Corbin was, announcing that they were making changes, announcing that they were going to be on both shows, essentially, it was weird. And I'm like, so what does this mean? I understood where Corbin came out there, and I understand them not giving him the position. So that made me wonder, are you giving somebody else the position? So that's the reason why that falls under the Tapped Out. But there's some little nuggets in there. One of the things that was interesting was the fact that we saw Vince McMahon kind of getting Corbin and say, "Hey, Corbin, you have a microphone." They don't. As the crowds were just booing. And this is where I saw Baron Corbin turn the corner as far as drawing heat. I mean, it felt like it was Vicky Guerrero out there. And you guys remember, if you was watching, when Vicky Guerrero come out there, she would be booed out of the building. Here's an example. 2011, 2012, we was at the Royal Farms Arena in Baltimore. And I went to the concession stands. And you could hear she say, "Excuse me." And then all of a sudden, you just kept hearing the boos reign supreme. And it felt like while I was at the concession stands, it felt like I was right there. So, but that's why it's my Tapped Out, as far as not understanding a clear direction of what this shakeup means. We did see on SmackDown that Paige's role as general manager is changing. A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people love Paige as GM. She wasn't obsessed. She wasn't always putting herself in matches or putting herself in situations. Kind of like when Daniel Bryan was GM. They just kind of made the matches, gave opportunity, and they stayed away. So, but let's move on. So let's get on to the top rope.
Going up to the top rope.
It's time for this week's Top Rope segment of the week.
So, Top Rope this week is actually with Vince McMahon joining Becky and Charlotte in the ring. Becky and Charlotte and Asuka, I should say, too. So Becky reminded everybody that she's the man, and she called out Ronda Rousey, and which she had every right to do. She let Ronda know, like, look, I took your, I beat you up one-on-one, but I didn't get involved in any of your matches, and Ronda cost Becky the title. So I'm waiting for this showdown. And when Vince came out there, she said, look, I want you to deliver Ronda Rousey to me. That's what I want the McMahons to do. So I thought this was great. It was interesting to see Vince McMahon involved in a women's storyline, especially that nothing that really had to do with any sexual innuendos. Obviously you remember the days where we saw Vince involved with Trish Stratus, Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler. So that's what was one thing that was great about this whole segment, because clearly this is about the women. And, I got to give a shout out to D, who was on the show for the post show, because, he definitely brought that to my attention. Women are a top drawer, and Vince is on it, and with them, it's not sexual. So I thought that was great, man. But then we, that kind of led to a championship match. Asuka had a championship match. She defended her title against Naomi, her good friend, which, of course, we all knew Asuka was retaining the title. There's no way. But it was still a great match. Very entertaining. Great competition. Good wrestling match. I want to know who's next for her. I'm not sure if you're going Mandy Rose. I'm not sure if you're going Sonya Deville. That's what I want to see. I don't think we're going to see Asuka, and maybe Becky Lynch may get a rematch. If that's something, maybe that was one of the things they forgot to tell us during the shakeup, that nobody gets rematches anymore. So only time will tell. Like I said, I want to see what happens with them. And speaking of number one contenders and women's championships, Monday Night Raw, there was a gauntlet match made by Stephanie McMahon, where the winner would get an opportunity at Ronda Rousey on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve night, and that winner was Natalya. We saw Natalya and Sasha Banks in the finals. So part of me was like, well, okay, hopefully Sasha will win. But then I thought about it. I said, well, you can do Ronda and Natalya without having to have a formal story. You can make this strictly about the wrestling, and that Natalya will give her a good match, and she won't try to outwork her or out-embarrass her. So I want to know where we're going from there, as far as after Ronda, maybe somebody's going to get involved. I could absolutely see that way you can kind of keep Natalya and Ronda as on story, but you can keep them as allies. But here's the thing, it's the Raw before Christmas. You want to draw ratings, the best way to do it is have Becky or Charlotte come out there and interrupt the match. I'm going to take my first break of the evening.
Hey, let's get it. It's your boy The Truth from the Part of My Bullshit podcast, available everywhere on iTunes, Spotify, and all your major channels. Also, check us out on social media at the PMB Pod. Now we about to kick it back to my man Brian H with Break It Down with Brian H, brought to you by the Wrestling Realm. Peace.
And I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. That was my little bro, The Truth, of the PMB podcast. Make sure you check that out. Great conversations on there each and every week. He and his co-host Geechee, they always talking about stuff that you need to hear. So let's move on. So in the main event of SmackDown, we saw a surprise. We saw Mustafa Ali teaming with AJ Styles, defeating the new Daniel Bryan and Andrade Cien. So, where was the surprise? It was Mustafa Ali pinning the new Daniel Bryan. that was something I didn't think I would see. But guess what? That goes to show you somebody has high hopes. Perhaps it's the new Daniel Bryan himself backstage having high hopes for Mustafa Ali. You let him come in his second show, he pinned the WWE Champion. But this was a great match, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you go check it out. I enjoyed a lot of it, to be honest with you. It was definitely a match that it was a tag team match, and of course we get them on SmackDown all the time, but it was a TV tag team match that was enjoyable, that made sense. I want to see a program with Cien Almas and Mustafa Ali, because I think they'll be able to have great shows. But this is one of those things. We don't need these brand merger pay-per-views. We already know we got the Royal Rumble coming up. If we could have had a pay-per-view with just SmackDown guys, then there would be room for that one. Moving on. So The Miz is, for some reason, The Miz really wants to be partners with Shane McMahon. He went to Vince and said, "Can I have your blessing?" Vince said, "I don't give out blessings." I'm not understanding this one. But Vince told him, you gotta, before you do that, you have a make sure we go, I'll put you in a match tonight, and that's what he did. He had a match he teamed up with Mandy Rose to go against the awesome, the Fabulous Truth. And they were victorious. Miz getting a pin on R-Truth. We always see Miz and R-Truth going against each other a lot nowadays. And you may remember they were a former tag team back in 2011. So, but I just thought that was interesting, and I thought that was funny that the Miz had to team with Mandy Rose, somebody who Paige said doing Tough Enough in 2015. Well, you think she's hot. That's the only reason why you want her to stay. So that was interesting right there. So I can't wait to see what happens, because next week on Christmas night, SmackDown Live, we will see Shane McMahon join The Miz on Miz TV. Let's move back to Monday Night Raw. We saw Dean Ambrose have an open challenge, sort of. He defended his title against Tyler Breeze. He was successful. Seth Rollins attacked him. Why? Obviously we know why, but I just want to see that them two go their separate ways. Ambrose got the belt back. We know what's going to happen. So come on now. Rollins isn't getting the title back. In fact, Rollins will probably be win the Royal Rumble, but more on that later. We also saw that Finn Balor defeated Dolph Ziggler by disqualification. That's going to lead to an upcoming triple threat match between Balor, Ziggler, and McIntyre. The match between Balor and Ziggler was made at TLC because Balor got involved in Ziggler got involved in Balor and McIntyre's match. So I like this because I don't think we'll see a full face Dolph Ziggler. I think we'll see him kind of play the tweener role. We'll see McIntyre as the heel and Balor as the face. And I want to know, when is Balor going to get back to where he was when he first came up? And that's being, he pinned Roman Reigns clean. That would lead him to the championship match for the inaugural Universal Championship. A match in which he won and only held the title for 24 hours due to getting injured in that match. So let's move on. How about the tag team division, folks? The tag team division in professional wrestling is heating up. I'm really liking what I see on Raw. We know that there's some call-ups coming up. Heavy Machinery being one of them. But on Monday Night Raw, the Revival, your number one contenders for the tag titles. That's interesting. My issue was that you have all these tag teams, but you still gave us Bobby Roode and Chad Gable against the Authors of Pain for 2 or 3 straight weeks. Why? You have enough tag teams. You're acting like there's no tag teams. That makes no sense. On SmackDown, we saw the OG Bullet Club, that being Anderson and Gallows, taking on the Usos. After that, we saw the Bar kind of come out there, and then out of nowhere, here comes Sanity. So things are heating up. We're getting fresh matchups. The WWE, a lot for the longest time, everybody it was the fun thing to talk bad about the WWE's tag team division. However, it's better than advertised. You have quite a few tag teams there. It's just a matter of giving them quality matches. You could have 3 or 4 tag matches on a pay-per-view card if done right. How would you do that? Well, you make a couple of the feuds personal. That's what they did before. You go back and look at some of them old WrestleManias. You got 2 or 3 tag team matches on there. So I think you can do that. Let's get this tag team division going again. Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, Triple H, and Stephanie promise to shake things up, promising new matchups. So let's make them put their money where their mouth is. So, also in other things going on in wrestling, Final Battle was this weekend. Cody Rhodes took on Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal retaining his title. I didn't get a chance to watch the pay-per-view, but I will. I did see that there was a spot with the Young Bucks going out there, and one of them almost looking dangerously hurt. So that's unfortunate. Definitely this is why I will say I do not use the F word, folks, because wrestling is not fake. It's predetermined. There's a huge difference. I'm going to take a break, and when I get back, it'll be time to come from the realm.
This is D from the Flex Zone. Check out Break It Down with Brian Waters. Ooh, yeah, dig it, freak out.
All right, and I'm back. That was my boy D. You can catch him each and every Monday night on the Flex Zone. And, of course, make sure you subscribe to the show and subscribe to his YouTube channel at Die Sporting Net, where you can find all the latest clips in high school basketball. D finds stars out there before they become stars. So, remember, LeBron James was playing basketball in high school, and all his games was on ESPN. So there's some stars out there, and D will be the person to help you find them, especially if you're a basketball fan. So now it's time to come from the realm.
And now for our From the Realm segment, where I answer your questions from the Facebook fan page, the Facebook group page, and the Twitter.
From the realm this week, we're starting off with the Shark. Sean Williams, make sure you check out his show, The Shark Attack, and Variety Bites right here on iTunes and Podbean and wherever you get your podcast from. So, first question, is there anybody who had a better 2018 in NXT than Tommaso Ciampa? Absolutely not. I mean, from matches of the year candidates and, of course, winning the championship, I don't think anybody had a better year this year than he did. Perhaps you could even arguably say probably the best NXT year. I mean, of course, you could look back and say, well, you got guys like Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura, who could rival that, but Tommaso Ciampa has put the show on his back and ran with it, and he's making it feel not like a developmental brand, but like a legitimate third brand. So next one, in terms of tag team wrestling outside of WWE, and with the Briscoes now 10-time ROH tag champs, where would you rank them? I'm assuming of all time. Man, I mean, it's so. I will say that I am one that's kind of biased and will say that, in order to be ranked high or top 3 or top 5 perhaps, you got to be in the big dance. WWE is the pinnacle. But, these guys are solid. They've shown that they could, split or go in different directions and come back. And maybe not necessarily bore everybody. So I'm definitely putting them in the top 10 of tag teams of all time. And actually, I'll even say top 20. I just think it's easier to say one. I think it's easier to say top 20. But there were a lot of legends. So no disrespect to the Briscoes, but I do think that it's kind of hard to slide them in the top 10 or even top 15 with the amount of legendary tag teams there are out there. So let's move on. And let's move on. His question is, why does it seem like WWE has done with Tommaso Ciampa in NXT that ROH failed to do when they had him? I just think it's simple, man. At the end of the day, you got the best in the world at WWE. People may not try to act like that. They try to, but you have the best in the world. You have the best trainers. You have the best storytellers. It's the difference is they're trying to cater for millions of people, where ROH may be trying to cater to the upper thousands of people. But at the end of the day, and then WWE has bigger sponsors, so I think a lot of times that gets in the way to maybe what they really want to do. But you got a guy like Ciampa who understands his role and knows how to utilize tools like social media, knows how to kind of change with the times. So that's the reason why I think he's been able to be successful, and he's getting, like I said, the best trainer, and he's essentially in finishing school. And let's finish off with his last question. So, with the year winding down and 2019 looming over the horizon, who do you see in the WWE and NXT, both male and female, to be the next to rise up? So, WWE, let's start with them. I'm going to go on a limb and say Andrade Cien Almas. That's the male. As far as the women's concerned, Ember Moon. For NXT, I have to say Adam Cole. What I mean by that, he will be NXT champion. For the women, Bianca Belair, man. And then, you know what? I even say, if not, Mia Yim. Those are two people who I will say those are next in line, looming to be big stars coming up next year. So, last set of questions come from Miss Lauren Ford at former Valley Girl 5. Her first question: I finally get the Dean and Seth feud. Why do you think it wasn't received so well? I just think because it's nothing new. I don't think Dean Ambrose does well in the ring a lot of times, and I think Seth Rollins' strength is the ring. But I don't know. It's tough. I just think at the end of the day, it just wasn't anything new that we hadn't seen before. Even though the story is different, I just don't think it was anything new. Her second question: do you think Raw is getting a new GM who is best, or are we staying with the four McMahons? I think so. Obviously, she wrote this question before SmackDown came on. And I think that kind of gave it away because of the phenomenal job that Paige was doing. For her still to have a role change, I think that means we'll have a role change. We won't have a GM on Raw. I think we'll see the four McMahons on each and every show. You might even see it where Stephanie will be more hands-on, but Shane will kind of be in the back. He'll be in the back, but he'll be taking the back seat, and then vice versa with SmackDown. It says, seem like WWE flipped the script with Seth and Dean. Are they moving on from this, or can we expect more, especially because of the Rollins Lesnar at WrestleMania rumors? Oh man, this is tough because I do think that we're going to get Rollins and Lesnar. So I don't know. More I think about it, that's a good question, but I think maybe this finishes before the Royal Rumble. That way Seth Rollins can go to the Royal Rumble. He'll be one of the favorites to win. Not sure if he's going to win, but he'll definitely be one of the favorites to be the last man standing. Her next question says, loving the WWE, well, I should say loving the women's division right now. Who do you think is overdue for a push? Wow, so that's tough because I kind of feel like everybody's kind of getting their just due. You look at people like Ember Moon. You look at people like Mickie James. They're kind of solid in their respective roles. Mickie James has, her role is to be the vet. Ember Moon is coming, but there's no need to really push her now. So it says Twitter seems to be very instrumental in feuds and clapbacks lately. Who do you think has the Twitter fingers of the year? Becky Lynch, without a shadow of a doubt. Becky Lynch, and it's not even close. The next person in line, and he's far away, would be Tommaso Ciampa, but Becky Lynch is definitely, I mean, you know, the stuff that she says about Ronda Rousey, then Chris Jericho, he tries to get involved, she shut him down, shut Charlotte down. So she's the person with the best clapbacks. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to wrap this thing up. Thank you. I can't thank you enough for what a year 2018 has been. The first year of the new podcast, Break It Down with Brian H. The first year of Wrestling for the Culture. So, I thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you check out the best of Break It Down with Brian H. coming up next week. Also, make sure you check out the year-end, the top 10 things, that's my favorite things that happen in the world of professional wrestling. That's coming up. And if you're out there, you want to play some video games, hit me at bwaters24 on PlayStation Network. Check out, I will be a guest on some shows before the year's up, so make sure you stay tuned. Follow me at Brian H. Waters. Follow me at Wrestling Realm. So, ladies and gentlemen, that will wrap things up for Break It Down with Brian H. for this year. Shout out to all of the supporters. So many of y'all to name, and I don't want to miss anybody, because then I know I'll be sitting up there feeling bad. And when I get floods of DMs, but I know you, those out there who've listened, who've subscribed, who's dropped a 5-star rating, I thank each and every one of you. So, until 2019, so long, everybody.